Dark X-Men, number 3 of 5, Darker with the Day. Written by Steve Fox, art by Jonas Scharf, colors by Frank Martin, letters by Clayton Cowles, designed by both Tom Muller and Jay Bowen. So at the end of issue number 2, our team broke up into 2 groups, and so we're going to talk about their 2 stories separately, starting with Gambit, Maggot, Azazel, possibly Azazel, and Emplate, who bamfed off to a small boat in the middle of the ocean to check in on Callisto and a group of Morlock types. At the end of that issue, we saw the ship being attacked by a skeletal, undead-seeming version of Warren Worthington, sent by a particularly creepy faction within Orchis. Lots of factions in Orchis these days. Very decentralized organization.
Yes.
So before we rejoin our battle in progress, Steve Fox gives us a quick one-pager on Emplate. You an old-time... What do you know more about, Ruben? Emplate or Heather McNeil?
At this point, Emplate.
Okay.
But before I read both these issues, it was about the exact same. Yeah.
Oh, right. So Emplate is Marius St. Croix. He's the brother of Monet. They also have 2 twin sisters running around. He's an energy vampire type, and he's been a villain for all of his 30-year existence up until the whole general Krakoan amnesty. He wears this kind of... It reminds me of an elephant, his breathing apparatus. That's not inherent to him. He suffered some injuries after going on some interdimensional dark magic shenanigans. I guess he's either never died and been brought back, or they brought him back with the same problem, like Cyclops always has the eye problem, because he still has that breathing apparatus.
It's not a CPAP machine.
It could be a CPAP machine, yeah. So, representation matters, Ruben. So all CPAP wearers can see Monet or Emplate on the page and say, oh, we could be superheroes. So Fox shows us that Emplate owes us some kind of a debt to Azazel, and I don't think we know what that is yet. It's something that happened off-panel, yet to be revealed, but it is hinted at a few times. Do you think we know anything about that, or is that an intentional secret? Okay, good, then I haven't missed it, like some other things I've missed. Now, back on that boat, Azazel chooses not to take part in the fight, saying, hey, my thrall, Emplate, will do that for him. Again, something's going on. And Emplate does most of the early fighting against Angel until Gambit, who's kind of become a leader here, gets Azazel to drop him on Angel from above. And Gambit uses his make things explode power to make Angel explode, which is pretty awesome, really. It's nice to see Gambit.
I like this fight. It was pretty badass. And seeing Gambit being formidable instead of a complete failure, as we saw in the Rogue and Gambit series, it warmed my heart.
And there, even when he wasn't a failure, he was like a goofball.
Yeah.
And here, he's not a goofball. He's confident, he's dangerous.
Yep. Yeah, I was like, this is the Gambit I remember from the 90s.
And it's an unusual way, but a legit, fair playing way of using his power. And usually he makes little things explosive and throws them. Here he just makes Angel himself explode, which is a horrific, but also really awesome all-page there. I mean, poor Warren, though, right? He was already dead. Book made that clear. He was crossed off with a red X on the title page his last 2 issues. But now he's really dead. There's nothing left.
Yeah, crossed off at this point.
So do you think we're going to get the magic resurrection wand waved one more time before this is over? Or are we going to start the next era of the X-Men without a Warren Worthington?
I think that the resurrection protocol is back. After we saw it in Immortal, where you got the 5 back together in the White Hot Room, I have a feeling that
you don't know exactly how real that is, but it's the most real resurrection we've seen in a while.
Yeah. I read that. I thought that was real. And I feel like maybe they will take the resurrection cue off the table, but it feels like that'll be in an event and not in these books, is my thought.
Yeah, I think we might get like one, get out of jail reset at the end to undo things, but I don't think going forward we'll still have resurrection. That's my probably wrong prediction about the Tom Brevoort era coming up.
No, that's fair. I mean, I could see that being the outcome too.
So let's see where are. So Gambit invites Callisto and the remaining Morlocks, except the 3 of them who were just killed by Angel, to come on back with them to hang out at the Limbo Embassy. Callisto says, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And me and the Morlocks, we're going to go off on our own, which is, what Morlocks usually did before Krakoa, which again seems like to be heading back towards the way things used to be, with, Morlocks hiding out in sewers or other dark places. And I think Maggot's going to be joining them. So Maggot has technically been a major character in this book, a member of the team. He hasn't really done all that much, so I don't know if we're going to miss him. So fare thee well, Maggot.
I've never gotten over Callisto and the fact that she died and was resurrected and then either self-mutilated or is just wearing a stylish eye patch.
Yeah, let's talk about Callisto for a second, because she's had a fun arc in the Krakoan era. She started off depowered ever since M-Day, and yet Emma made her the White Knight of the Hellfire Trading Company in the first Marauders volume. And then later in that volume, she went through the Crucible, where she fought and was killed by Storm, so she could be brought back with her sensory powers restored. But yeah, you're right, she still has the eye patch, so maybe that's just fashion, where she has all these sensory powers, enhanced vision and hearing.
Yes.
So maybe it's just like turning down the volume for her to put an eye patch on?
Yeah, it's just weird.
This is a thing we've seen and argued about, not even argued about, just noticed all through Resurrection, how characters are brought back with their limitations that they really shouldn't have anymore, like Cyclops not being able to control his eye blasts. But yeah, I think this issue, again, feels like Callisto and the Morlocks exiting the whole story, which she hasn't been the most major character, but she's had a real arc to happen here, and I think it's been fun to follow her.
Yeah, Morlocks going back into the sewer.
That's where you usually find them. I mean, we've been seeing the Morlock sewers a lot in X-Men and other books, but haven't been any Morlocks there.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're just going to show up. Be like, why is there an X-Men team in our base?
Squatters' rights. Okay, on to the other half of our book, in Mexico. Here we have Maddie, Havoc, Feint, and Zero. Havoc still not quite right from having been mostly dead at the end of issue number 1. Feint being, of course, Carmen Cruz, the only teen from Children of the Atom who was a real mutant. She has shape-shifting powers and is here as the mostly normal person who sees weird crap happen kind of character. She's the only normal person here. Zero, not normal, is Kenji Uedo, the disgusting body morphin mutant currently wearing a broken Orcus Logan bot, kind of the way a hermit crab wears a snail shell. Just disgusting. Every panel I see him, I just say, ooh, gross. And they're off to recruit a young mutant whom Madeline saw in her vision. So this mutant is Marisol Guerra, who previously appeared in a short-lived Storm ongoing, it was supposed to be an ongoing, one of those, in 2014. Marisol became a student at the Jean Grey School, didn't really take to it, and quickly returned to stay with her folks in Mexico. Now, Marisol has plant-growing powers. I guess the same kind of powers as Genesis, but presumably not Omega level. Marisol has 2 mutant names. When she's in a happy mood, she's called Flourish, and she makes lovely flowers grow. How nice. When she's in a sour, angry mood, she makes mushrooms and other funguses grow, which, biologically speaking, aren't really plants, but I'm not going to worry about it. Marisol must be pretty annoyed to see our heroes barging into her stronghold, because she has one of her mushrooms release a cloud of spores that immediately knocks every one of them the F out, like the Poppy scene from The Wizard of Oz, except for Feint, who has the presence of mind to create a gas mask for herself, which seems like a pretty advanced bit of kit to morph up on short notice. I guess she's been practicing. Feint definitely takes a step forward in this book. They want us to see her as being not just a newbie anymore, but an actual competent X-Men mutant. So the knocked out characters all get very brief dream sequences, none of which are so surprising. Havoc, he has brother issues. He fights Cyclops. No kidding. Kenji, totally content being the gross weirdo he is. No psychological issues at all. Albert the Loganbot.
Quickly, the art on the Havoc dream sequence cracked me up because for some reason he's shredded his clothing. And
he is true. And his muscles.
Yes. I was like, okay, dude.
Hey, it's his dream. Why not?
Yeah. Anyways, go on. It's pretty hilarious. You got to take a look at it if you're reading it.
He's just a robot. And Maddie dreams about Jean and Sinister and Baby Cable, which of course is what she dreams about, and she's bored about this being her only story. Her final panel might be more important. It shows a death-type figure holding Havoc's headpiece and saying, "We are inevitable," which is what this could mean a couple of things, but the most obvious meaning is that, hey, Havoc, and Maddie must know this, maybe he's not recovering slowly from his injuries. Maybe he's going the other way. Maybe he's headed off to death. Now, Feint is the only member of the team left standing, so she goes to chat with her fellow team. Hello, fellow teens. Marisol gives Feint essentially the same answer Callisto gives Gambit. Yeah, no thanks. We're better off on our own. Going with you would just put us in more danger. It's kind of a nice little pairing. The two halves of this book end up with the same result, despite their efforts to, we're the X-Men, we should rescue mutants. The mutants are saying, no thanks, we don't want to go with you, which is an interesting twist.
Pretty fair, too. I mean, anyone near the X-Men is usually not long for this world.
Yeah, especially with the X-Men the way they are now. They don't have, like Deadpool pointed out a couple of weeks ago, they don't have their island anymore. They don't have their power. What are you going to offer us? And then there's the issue of this X-Men team isn't really the X-Men team you'd want to rescue, right? It's the Dark X-Men. It's not Jean. It's Madeline Pryor. And it's a whole bunch of weirdos. So while this conversation is happening, the other Dark X-Men wake up from their little sleep and are attacked by the Banff Dragon, that alternate universe Nightcrawler who works for the creepy side of Orchis. The dragon is not very effective. He bites Kenji, but that pervert Kenji just enjoys it. Yuck. Havoc blasts him, which seems effective, but also raises giant nasty boils on Havoc's arms. Yuck. Maddie goes to take a swing at it, but it bamfs away. Doesn't go very far. It attacks Feint and the other Morlock-type kids just down the road. Feint seems to turn into Beast Boy here. Right? She's a metamorph, so okay, she can change her physical situation. She gives herself pointy ears and big fists and punches the dragon right in the neck, causing it to bamf away for real. Now, frankly, I expected the Banff Dragon to be more of a badass, but he's kind of a pushover, right?
Yeah.
Land one shot on him and off he goes.
Yeah.
Glass jaw, as they say. In the final scene, we visit our Orchis creeps for a little bit here. They're, again, like Erica Doiron, they're not very happy with the results that they're getting from their team for different reasons. They say one asset was destroyed, meaning Angel, another wounded, the Banff Dragon, and really no results to show attacking the team. So their next target is going to be, well, it's Chasm himself, Ben Reilly, the clone of Peter Parker, who right now is kind of imprisoned down there in limbo after being a co-bad guy with Maddie in the whole dark web silliness. So for me, this was a pretty decent issue. Plot-wise, nothing really progressed. I mean, Angel got destroyed, but he'd been dead already. I did like the X-Men trying to be X-Men, but getting rebuffed because this is not your father's X-Men. This is not the X-Men's time in the sun. Maybe Feint is being pumped up a little bit beyond believability, but I'm going to try to put away my Children of the Atom prejudice and just kind of go with it. She's a new character. She's going to progress. She's going to get stronger. So the art looks really cool. The darkness of the art fits the title well. Angel exploding was just a really cool panel, as was the reveal of Marisol in the middle of all her magic mutant mushrooms. Great colors there, too, by Frank Martin. It looked like a black light kind of a poster. Cool looking book. And it looks different, right? It doesn't look like, we said I liked Alpha Flight's art and that it looked like a good version of a kind of a standard Marvel art. This is a creepy book and it looks creepy. And I appreciate that. I like that combination. So it's another story that doesn't seem very big in the grand scheme of things, but I'm happy to keep reading. I'm especially interested to see what happens to poor Havoc, who has not had a lot of good things happen to him pretty much ever. So not looking good for Havoc there.
Yeah, poor Havoc.
We've been following him through Hellions and into this, and you want to see something good happen with him, and I don't think it's going to work out for the poor guy. But I'm enjoying this issue. It has, some little things I didn't care for as much, but I'm going to give it a 7.8 out of 10. Pretty good book.
Nice. Yeah. This was my book of the week. I'm going to say 7.5. I am starting to come around to your original criticisms of there being maybe too many characters that are not the core characters that you know about. And so it makes it a little bit hard to appreciate what's going on.
They don't all get their moment.
Yeah.
Right? If there's a character you know really well, if Spider-Man shows up, you could see him in 2 panels and still appreciate it because you know who Spider-Man is. But some of these other ones, Kenji, M-Plate, poor Maggot, who I guess is leaving the book.
Yeah.
Hard to really get a whole lot of them unless they get focused on, and you can't focus on all of them because you got 5 issues.
Yeah, exactly. So that ends up being my big criticism of this is a lot of cool stuff going on, a lot of interesting characters, like the design at least is interesting, but perhaps too much going on.
Well, only 2 issues left, and I'm going to guess we're heading towards a Maddie versus alternate Maddie collision at the end. That would be the typical way it goes, but maybe Steve Fox will do something less typical. We'll find out in a couple months.